Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, a major upgrade is on the horizon for one of the most vital departments at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and a pledge from Minister of Health, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic, that Barbadians can expect improvements across the sector. Kareem Smith has that story.
The Accident and Emergency Department here at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital stands as a pillar of one of the few remaining free healthcare systems in the world. For years, Barbadians have been complaining about the level of efficiency meted out here at the hospital, but the newly appointed Minister of Health says it's time for a change. Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic toured the facility following Prime Minister Mia Mottley's promise of an $11 million injection for the department's much-needed recovery. After discussions with top officials, he revealed the greatest challenges are a lack of bed spaces and waiting times that can last up to 4 hours.
This is a one-hour shot and we have to get it right. So that is really the determining factor. Once all of the major players are satisfied that what we want to do is workable and in the best interest of patients and staff alike, then we will commence the construction of the site.
He says construction, which could take 6 to 8 months, is currently pending a tendering process. But relief is expected just weeks from now when the Winston Scott and Randall Phillips polyclinics adjust to a 24-hour system. Minister Bostic says in addition to infrastructural changes, internal issues at the hospital also need urgent attention.
If we spend money to expand services at accident and emergency, if we provide the hospital with much needed funds as we are doing, then we must satisfy the Barbadian public that the money is going to be well spent. And the only way that we are going to achieve that is to ensure that we have patient satisfaction at the end of the day. So we need to be able to ensure that persons coming to this hospital, persons going to accident and emergency, actually have a very good experience.
Just outside was the frustrated mother of a young child battling a horrible cough, who after 2 hours received minimal attention. She welcomes the planned improvements.
There's a 5-year-old. We came in here for 2 hours now with him coughing, complaining chest pain. They need to do so quickly. They need to get a hand on it. They need to get facilities whereby when you have children coming in, they have a department that dealing with children alone on an emergency basis, and also a department that dealing with adults, because this is not good enough. I'm going to the private now.
The health minister says Barbadians will be feeling the difference in mere weeks. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Kareem, thanks. Well, Crop Over 2018 should be a turning point in Barbados' history. That's the belief of Culture Minister John King as he encouraged Barbadians to come out in their numbers this season. Sharika Griffith reports.
Scores of Barbadians turned out for the first official event to kick off the 2018 Crop Over season, the Barbados Tourism Product Authority Crop Over Heritage Bus Tour. Culture Minister John King hopes this will be the case at each and every event this year.
This should be the one where we come out in our numbers, support all of the events. And when I say all of the events, I mean all of the events. The private ones, the ones put on by the NCF, the ones that put on in the communities, come out in your numbers and be a part of Crop Over 2018. This is a takeoff point for us, and I think you want to take off with a good feeling. And so if we get this right this year, God knows what's going to happen next year.
Under the theme Rum and Sweet Food, the Heritage Bus Tour took Barbadians and visitors alike on a fun and fact-filled culinary journey. The tour began in Queen's Park with food sampling and dramatic presentations before hitting the road and heading to the first stop at Tyrrell Court.
I'm glad I came because usually when I finish my lunch, I read the paper, sometimes it falls out of my hand, so it didn't happen today.
The next stop was the Mount Gay Visitor Centre, where patrons got a history lesson on rum manufacturing and a chance to sample several different types of rum.
I thought it was very interesting because, you know, we just drink rum, but the education of the rum and the fact that we were tasting different rums in quick succession, and it was recognizing the difference in the taste of the rums. I never had that appreciation for rum before.
From there, it was up north to Fisherman's Pub, and then east to Barclays Park for a culinary climax of food, and you guessed it, more food. Chief Executive Officer of the BTPA, Dr. Kerry Hall, described the event as another triumph for the National Cultural Foundation, one which the BTPA is looking to replicate.
We know where the locals go, the visitors will follow. So an event like this that has such a tremendous response from Barbadians, we need to replicate this throughout the year and put on about 2 more of these for the rest of the year. We'll be working closely with NCF in terms of how we could do this, in terms of the logistics.
The Heritage Bus Tour is now in its 5th year. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. The National Cultural Foundation is breathing fresh life into one of their long-standing events on their Cropover calendar. The start of this year's Central Bank Cropover Visual Arts Festival will include a public village and art walk. Producer Rodney Eiffel says the events, which will span the Church Village Green and Queen's Park, are geared at exposing the public to all art forms and media.
We have some 45 participants in the art walk. We turned this into a village. So we had offered 10 booth spaces, 4 here in the Church Village Green and another 6 in Queen's Park, that persons would have their art, craft, jewelry, fabric work displayed, and what high quality we as Barbadians work to, and as Caribbean nationals by extension. You have also people offering products in, handmade soaps and even plants, those kind of things that move you to purchase. So that's why we want you to come out to this free event.
The Central Bank will continue to sponsor the Visual Arts Festival, which is set to include a specially designed mural. Manager of the Frank Cullimore Hall, Fran Wickham-Jacobs, says the bank's support for the arts goes beyond just finances.
We don't only sponsor the events, but we also contribute by purchasing. We have a Governor's Purchase Award, which every year we select a piece of work that hangs on the walls of the Central Bank. And we also offer a Governor's Award, which is a prize award, the top prize for this entire exhibition. And that also belongs to the hall, to the bank, which is part of the National Gallery of Work.
The late entertainer Jackie Opal was Barbados' first international star. In fact, he has been credited as being one of the early contributors to the island's creative industry. This is according to library consultant and researcher at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, Dr. Elizabeth Watson. She was delivering a lecture on the entertainer, under the theme Jackie Opal, Barbadian Treasure, Jamaican Star. And Dr. Watson says very few people know about his vast Jamaican roots. She says he was an entertainer of many firsts.
He was the first Barbadian to create a post-independence sound signifier. He garnered significant awards in Jamaica and Barbados, and he's the first Barbadian to be covered by a syndicated music column in the U.S. From humble beginnings, Jackie Opal occupies a special place in Barbados and Jamaica. Up to February this year, for example, there was an article in the Jamaica Observer on Jackie Opal. His catalog is important to the post-independence soundscape and the narratives of both Barbados and Jamaica.
Dr. Watson says Jackie Opal was a multi-talented treasure.
He composed many genres. He danced very well. He was a showman. He had a very physical routine. This image came from the Percy Sledge show in Trinidad, and you'll notice that his pants seam open right there. He played the saxophone, drums, and bass. He emceed for the Scatolites, and when he emceed for the Scatolites, he started with, the countdown for the satellite to go into orbit. 10, 9, that's how he introduced the Scatolites, with that countdown. He was always well dressed.
And there's more news coming up after this break. Stay with us. The head of one local agricultural organization is warning that prices in the farming sector could go up as a result of the measures in Monday's mini budget. And Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, is hoping for an urgent meeting with the new Minister of Agriculture in Darweer to see if they can stave off what could amount to big losses in the sector and higher prices for consumers. Speaking during a press conference at the BAS's Grotto headquarters, Mr. Paul said they have written a letter to the minister outlining stakeholder concerns, a major one of which is the hike in water rates. He says the farmers have reviewed the measures and they want to make some recommendations.
Poultry processing in the area of, for instance, pigs, pig processing, water is a much used ingredient. Even in terms of vegetable operations for those farms, or especially where you have homegrown gardens, where there are farmers in Barbados who do not have the benefit, especially vegetable farmers, of water coming from BADMC sources. In other words, they have to use the normal water coming from the BWA. It means that the cost of water for those agricultural enterprises will increase by a dramatic 50%.
According to Mr. Paul, these increases will make life harder for farmers who already struggle to compete with imported produce.
It is a sensitive sector, and we have adopted that position before. I will hope, of course, that we can present an effective case. And not only that, we will present an effective case to the minister and to the government in general to indicate why the increase in the price of water on the agricultural sector, especially poultry, pigs, or whatever, could really be catastrophic, because it would mean, of course, that prices will go up for those particular industries, and it actually could affect the competitiveness.
Well, with Father's Day just 2 days away, 2 DJs here at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation have been recognized as outstanding fathers. They are 98.1 The One DJs Dave Smooth and John Timeless Birch. The two were presented with the 100% Bajan Father Icon Award from the Sunrise Sports Club. Marketing manager for the club, Sherry Boyce, says their determination, inspiration and commitment to the listening public, as well as how proud they are to be fathers, earned them the award. She also encouraged Barbadians to ensure that fathers get the acknowledgement they deserve.
I look at Dave Smooth and Timeless as there are persons within the society. They are the voice. They are the persons that give us the experience. They are the person that give us the core. Sometimes in life you go through thinking that you are the only person that have the situation. But really and truly, there's someone else out there that are worse. And believe you me, when you hear these two individuals give you their inspiration quotes or advice, it is for us, the parents, the guardians, the society, more so to hold strong. So that is why I decided this year, as my first time giving such an award to fathers, to choose these two individuals.
Congratulations to them. Well, the public is asked to note that the Kellogg Company, through its distributor Hansel Innes Limited, has announced its voluntary recall of the 15.3-ounce and 23-ounce packages of Kellogg's Honey Smacks cereal as follows. Kellogg's Honey Smacks 15.3-ounce, barcode 38000399103, with best if used by dates of June 14th, 2018 through June 14th, 2019. Kellogg's Honey Smacks 23-ounce, barcode 38000148110, with best if used by dates of June 14th, 2018 through to June 14th, 2019. The best if used by date can be found on the top of the cereal box, and the barcode can be found on the bottom of the box. The Kellogg Company is recalling these products as they may have the potential presence of salmonella. No other Kellogg's products are impacted by this recall. Now, the affected product includes the following varieties distributed across the United States, as well as limited distribution in Costa Rica, Guatemala, Mexico, the Caribbean, Guam, Tahiti, and Saipan. So should you have any of these items in your possession, you're asked to immediately discontinue use and contact the Hanschel Innes Sales Center at 426-2416 or 429-5657. Hanschel Innes Limited and the Kellogg Company are working jointly to remove any affected product in the Barbadian market. They apologize for any inconvenience caused and thank you, the public, for your attention in this matter. Well, still to come on the evening news, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. So stay tuned. In St. Lucia, 3 local organizations are the beneficiaries of the proceeds of the Prime Minister's 2018 Independence Fundraising Ball. Chief among them is the Beleaguered Association dedicated to the blind.
The second annual Prime Minister's Independence Ball was aimed at raising funds for organizations and charities in need. This year, 3 local entities, namely the Blind Welfare Association, the Holy Family Children's Home, and the St. Lucia School of Ballet and Modern Dance, were the beneficiaries of the little over $60,000 raised. Prime Minister Alan Chasney, at Thursday's check handing over ceremony, says this year organizers sought to recognize the contribution of the arts to societal development, hence targeting the School of Ballet. As for the Blind Welfare Association, the Prime Minister says the reason need not be stated.
The difficulty of any organization, even when it's funded and it's part of government, to be able to help the more vulnerable people in our society, and particularly people who have handicaps, and particularly one as difficult as being blind. I mean, I challenge any solution to take the blind test, and that is to blindfold yourself for a week. Don't take it off for 1 week, and see what it's like to walk in the steps of somebody with that kind of handicap. And the fact is do we as a society owe them more? Isn't every solution entitled to a certain standard of living? And so therefore, the work that they are doing behind the scenes under the most difficult circumstances.
The Blind Welfare Association received the bulk of the proceeds, $30,067, while the School of Ballet and Holy Family Children's Home each received $15,000.
November 6 is the date when Antiguans and Barbudans will vote in a referendum to determine whether the Caribbean Court of Justice would be the nation's final court of appeal. Lionel Max Hurst, Chief of Staff, disclosed the information during yesterday's post-cabinet press conference. He also revealed that the process would likely proceed with or without the support of the opposition United Progressive Party. Now, the opposition is being blamed for stalling the process due to certain concerns it expressed regarding constitutional reform. I'll give you a peek into the world of sports in just a moment, but before we get to that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
Of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Avoid smoking around the asthmatic child. Secondhand smoke inhalation will trigger an asthma attack. This tip is brought to you in association with the Asthma Association of Barbados.